Hello friends, welcome to Yayskool. Today we'll be starting a brand new chapter which is water, a precious resource. So, first we have to know, we all know that water is very important for our life on earth, right? But we don't exactly know that we have actually very less amount of water that is available for our use. We know that we have a lot of oceans and seas and we have a lot of water in them. Actually, most of the surface of the earth is covered with water. Still, we have very less amount of water that we can actually use. Why? Because that salty water is actually not usable for our purpose. Okay, we cannot drink it, we cannot use it for any work. So what water can we actually use? We can use only the fresh water which is available. And how much fresh water is actually available? The water which is in rivers, ponds, freshwater lakes, that we can use it for our purpose. But most of that water is also frozen in glaciers and ice caps. So that leaves us with the water which is available in rivers, ponds, freshwater lakes and underground water, which accounts for very less amount of water for ourselves. Now, why? We know we have studied water cycles since the junior classes, right? Water can exist in three forms on the earth. What are those three forms? Those three forms are solid, liquid and vapor. And how is water cycle? The water cycle, it is a representation of transition of water into its different forms. So what is the water cycle? Let us take a quick recap. We have our clouds. Clouds, what happens? It rains, water goes in the water bodies and it enters into the ground. Okay. So this infiltered water, it stays as groundwater, and the rest of the water, it goes in the water bodies. Now what happens? As the sun shines, the water evaporates from the water bodies and other areas and it goes up towards the atmosphere. What happens? As the temperature cools down, the water also cools down and it condenses. So the process of condensation takes place. Right. Now this process of condensation, it forms clouds. And when clouds get heavier and heavier, rain falls on the earth. Now this rain can be in the form of water or in the form of snow, hail, sleet, whatever it may be. So this is the actual water cycle, that how water cycles in its different forms on the earth. Alright, this is water cycle. Let us move on to the next topic. Water is found in three forms. What are those three forms? Water is found in three forms. Water is found in three forms. Okay, what are those three forms? Number one is solid, and by solid we know ice and snow. We know this. Next we have liquid, the form we all use. Next is the liquid form, which is water bodies and rainfall. And lastly we have solid, liquid and gaseous phases of water. And what is gaseous? It is water vapor. So these are the forms of water that are available on earth. Okay, the next topic that we are going to learn is groundwater. What is groundwater and why is it so important, and some additional terms related to groundwater. Next, we are going to learn about groundwater. Okay, what is water table and groundwater? So groundwater is nothing but the water which seeps down into the earth. It stays there between the layers of soil and rocks. That is groundwater. So what is water table? Let us quickly write it down. The upper layer of groundwater is called is called water table. Alright? The upper layer of groundwater is called water table. This is the first term. What is the second point? The process of seeping of water. The process of seeping of water. The process of seeping of water into the ground. Into the ground is called infiltration. Is called infiltration. Okay. This is the next very important term related to this groundwater. The process of seeping of water into the ground is called infiltration. Okay. First term we have water table. The upper layer of groundwater is called water table. And the next term we have the process of seeping of water into the ground is called infiltration. Next, we have another important term related to groundwater. What is it? At places, the groundwater is stored. At places, the groundwater is stored between layers of hard rock, between layers of hard rock below the water table. Below the water table. Below the water table. This is known as an aquifer. This is known as an aquifer. Okay. This is also a very important term related to groundwater. What is it? At places, the groundwater is stored between layers of hard rock between the water table. This is known as an aquifer. So even below the groundwater table, there are a few layers of rock and water cannot seep below that. So water is kind of stored between those rocky layers. Okay. Let's see as an example. Let us see a figure. Okay. To understand these terms, let us see a diagram. So we have already learned in the chapter soil about the composition of the layers of soil. Right, so soil has many layers like this. So water, what it does, it seeps down into the layers of soil. And this is called what? Infiltration. Right, this is infiltration. Water seeps down into the layers of the soil and this is called infiltration. Now, suppose the water goes down and the top layer of the water is just right here. Okay, this is the top portion of the groundwater. And what is this called? This is called water table. Okay, so the upper layer of groundwater is called water table. This is the upper layer of groundwater and it is called the water table. Now what happens? We know that there are rocks below the soil. Right, there are many big rocks below the soil. Okay, these are the rocks. What happens is some water seeps down and it cannot go beyond this point because there are rocks and some water is stored over here. Now this water which is stored between the rock layers is actually called what? It is called an aquifer. Okay. Now this water is below the water table. So if this is the water table, the aquifer is below the water table. Now these are the important terms which is related to groundwater. In the next video, we will be learning about depletion of water table and water management. Okay, we know that water level is decreasing. We have scarcity of water every now and then, even though there is so much of rainfall and so much of flood. Why? We'll be studying in the next video. Okay, till then keep studying. Thank you for watching.